Welcome back to Small Talk. Are Muslims 1400-year-old fashioned? Maybe, but we don't think that. Maybe the Western society thinks that we are 1400 years old and we are backward and we don't have sense of the modern society and we are ignorant. But we as Muslims don't think that, and I will tell you why. Maybe once you listen to me, you will maybe reconsider your opinion and say, maybe they're not old fashioned, maybe they're more progressive than we are as Western society. We are old fashioned in a certain way, but we are very progressive and modernized in a certain way. And when I say old fashioned, it means some of the things that we follow, they may seem old fashioned because Western societies have been manipulated for so long by so many lobbyists who were imposing certain things in the society for their own personal gains, that these people have been brainwashed. For example, we are old fashioned in the sense that lesbian, gays, and all these LGBTQ slash whatever these new terms that are coming about is absolutely unacceptable in Islamic faith. In the Western society, it's very openly accepted right now. I remember a generation ago when I first came to the US, I was in high school, and the elderly people that I met at the time, I used to go to the library to do my homework after school every day. And older men will be sitting there, they're reading books because, internet and computers weren't, that was back in 1993, there wasn't that many internet and YouTube and social media and all those things. So people used to go to the library and get books and read books. So I used to go to a public library, do my homework, and I would sit there, and all these older men are sitting there. And I was in high school, I was new to the country. I had some language barrier, lots of things I didn't understand. I was very bad at geography. Maps didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't tell which country is where or which state is where. So one day I was sitting there my social studies homework, I was trying to complete my social studies homework, and I just didn't understand anything what my teacher asked for. And I started crying. And an older gentleman was sitting next to me on a couch in the library, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I have this homework due and I don't know what I'm doing." So people were so nice back then. He came and he sat down next to me and he said, "Oh, this is easy. So this is the American map. This is where Maine is. This is where, and then he started telling me all these states where they are. And then he started showing them to me, and he marked them for me with a pencil. And he said, now you can write a little bit about them and I can give you some brief description. And he helped me do my homework. So in those times, I remember on Sundays, people would get up, take a shower, dress up, and they would go to the church. Sunday was their worship day. People would go to church. Kids are going to the church. Elderly, the whole family would dress up nice. They'll eat their breakfast and go to church and then come back around 1 o'clock, just like we go for Jummah prayer. Lesbians and gays and all these concepts were very frowned upon. They were not acceptable in the societies. They were absolute no-no. And if somebody wanted to do it as a fashion, they still had to keep it hidden from their own parents. So obviously, this is not a 1400-year-old concept. It's a very recent concept. Now, a generation later, whoever came up with this LGBT community propaganda, this was the most propagated movement in the West. And recently, we had a presentation at the masjid where our one of the imam of the masjid had explained how they basically planted the seed for the acceptance of this LGBTQ idea in the society, and how successful it was. It only took them one generation to go from absolute no-no in America to now if you say something against it, you are basically racist, misogynist, you are judgmental, and you are just being inhuman, and you are oppressing somebody's human rights, or you're taking away their human rights, etc., etc. Now, if you say something against it, you're a bad person. Back then, if you said something in favor of it, you were a bad person. So this one movement was propagated so much and it was talked about so much that it only took one generation to go from a big no-no to become a very normal in the society. But in Islamic faith, it's always going to be a no-no. I know some of the Christians now. I had a coworker at the hospital that I worked with, my most recent job. Um, he hated the idea of people becoming gays and lesbians. And he's a Christian. He's a white Christian man. And one of my colleague, one of I think her husband's cousin or uncle, somebody was gay, and they were going on a vacation to Florida with their children. And I know he was our boss, and he said to her, "Oh my God, you're gonna take him along with your kids? He's gay." And she was very offended by it. And she told me, and she said, "You know what he said to me? He said to me, 'Oh my God, you're gonna take your kids along with him? You know he's gay. So what's wrong with that? He is so he's being so stupid. It's his personal choice. It's his legal right. He can be whatever he wants to be." And I didn't say anything to her, but in my heart I was thinking, well, he's right. I will never take my kids along on a trip with someone like him, or with a lesbian. um, if you get offended, sucks for you. God has created a man and woman to be a pair. God had created two beautiful creatures to come together and reproduce and develop the society. So this idea of LGBTQ, whoever came up with this nonsense, God has destroyed an entire nation who were committing this kind of sin. And it's a big sin and big crime in Islam and in Christianity and in Judaism. It's absolutely not acceptable in any of those faiths. Now, if you have made it acceptable as a society, that does not make you modern. That makes you more than 2,000 years old, because that nation who was destroyed by God, that nation existed way before Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and way before Islam. And God destroyed this nation even back then. Imagine what would he do to this nation now. So that means you are, as a society, older than, more than 2,000 years of age, because you're going back into those times when those things were happening and taking place. So we're not old fashioned. You guys are old fashioned. You are going backward. You are going back and taking in all those things which were being practiced 2,000 years ago. In Islam, those things are not being practiced right now. So we are more progressive and more modern. We're not 1,400 years old. Our religion may have come on earth with the Prophet 1,400 years ago, but Islam has, our God has given us the most advanced and most modern faith and most modern religion, which fits into this time and this age and in with this society and with the developed minds that we have right now. The other thing is they have the bigger problem that Islam is 1,400 years old, because women have to cover themselves up and women have to cover their hair, and they're not allowed to go ahead and have sex with just random men and have boyfriend and girlfriends. This is not only for women, this is for men and women both. There's obviously different uh, um, commandment for covering of a man and for covering of a woman. Men have their own ruling what part of their body has to be covered in Islam, and women have their own ruling. Of course, women's more body parts are more appealing to the men, so they have to keep them covered so they don't cause any distraction in the society, whereas men don't have much to cover, so they're only allowed to cover the part which would cause distraction in the society. Um, so as I said in my previous video, we both have equal rights, but just different kind of rights. The nature of the rights is different, but we have equal amount of rights. In some cases, actually, women have more rights than men, and men don't even have that many rights in Islam. So Islam, as I said, again, when it comes to covering part, it's now 1,400 years old. It's brand new. In old times, men never wore clothes. If you remember caveman time, there are so many museums here that I have been to where the Indians were slaughtering the animals. The Red Indians who originally lived on this land. Um, they have those museums where they show their way of life. And if you look at them, women are naked. They only have a small piece of leaf covering their bottom part, private part. Top, there's nothing covering their top. Similarly with men, they're all naked except there's a small piece of either cloth or leaf that's covering their private part, and that's it. So that's old fashioned. The new fashion is we cover ourselves. We stitch clothes. We make fabrics in factories. We we change cotton into thread and thread into clothes. And then we stitch our clothes. We design them. We wear them. So how are we old-fashioned? We are modern. You are old-fashioned who's going backward. You want to become gay and lesbian like 2000 years ago when people were gays and lesbians. You want to go back and wear and not wear any clothes, whereas civilized societies had designed clothes so they don't look uncivil. That was one of the symbol of being civilized, that you wore clothes. Now you don't want to wear clothes. You want to become uncivil. You want to go back to the caveman time. Go for it, but don't call us 1400 years old, because we are modern and we're not 1400 years old. It's just your own perspective. Sorry to say that you have been so brainwashed that you don't even think clearly. You don't even realize what you're saying. It goes totally against your own self. It doesn't go against us at all. And the problem is, so many Muslims don't know how to explain it to the Western society. They probably get so, excuse me. And the problem with me is that I'm too blunt and I am willing to say things too obvious. And blunt in the sense that I don't mean to offend anyone, or I don't mean to discriminate against anyone. Blunt in a way that I explain my faith unapologetically. I am a Muslim. I'm proud to be a Muslim. And I am unapologetically Muslim, and I follow Islamic faith with the full pride. And I take pride in my faith, and I love to be a Muslim. I would have never been happier if I was born in any other faith, if I had put some mind to it. And I accepted Islam with my full um, uh, capacity. I have accepted Islam after me getting to know my faith much better. Obviously, I was a born Muslim, but I wasn't a practicing Muslim before. And I had questioned my faith multiple times. But when I studied my religion, I became Muslim because I couldn't see any other faith giving me the answers to all my questions that I've had in my life. And it doesn't make us old fashioned, it makes us very modern. Now, the other thing is the education. If you look at the history, there was the first university built by a Muslim woman. In Pakistan, in US, till this day, we have never had a female president, so-called modern society. If you look at all the Muslim nations, Pakistan's first female prime minister, Benazir Bhutto, was a 25 years old woman long time ago. Western societies are still not willing to accept a female president in the US till this day. If you look at Indian subcontinent region, their first female was, what was her name? Indira Gandhi. She was their prime minister. In Bangladesh, they had a female prime minister. It's only the modern societies like you, America and Europe, who don't accept lots of female, especially America, who claims to be the most brilliant country and the most advanced country in the world. You are so backward. Till this day, you have problem electing a female president for your own nation. So don't call us backward. Don't call us 1400 years old fashioned people. We are not. We are very advanced. We are very progressive. We have given you uh, the number zero. We have given you the term algebra. We have given you so many laws of chemistry and physics and mathematics. This whole world is running based off of Islamic research. Yes, in technology, you guys are ahead of us, and that's only because for past 200 years, the Western countries have been going into the Eastern nations and bombing them and killing people and taking away all their resources, and people are fighting this battle of survival. You have been taking their bread and butter away from them and putting them in a situation where they're barely uh, fulfilling their basic needs, and they're struggling. Once you leave them alone and let them work with their own resources, trust me, Muslim nations will be way ahead of any of the Western nations in science and technology, just like the way it has been in the past. Only for the past 200 years, the Western societies have progressed in technology, that too, not in science. They have not come up with any growth in science whatsoever, just in technology. Science was always progressed by Islamic scholars and very religious people in Islam. So Islam is the most modern religion. If you want to have a debate on this, we can definitely do this. If you have any queries and questions, please give your comments in the comment section below. I will be happy to answer all your questions. We can record other videos about other questions. If you have any concerns, please let me know. Give my video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Allah Hafiz.